Who says kids get to have all the fun during March break? Say no to building a snowman, and shell yeah to building sandcastles with Sunwing Vacations. We've got what you're looking for out of paradise, like water parks, crystal clear waters, white sand beaches, and more. Not to mention a host of breathtaking destinations, each as beautiful as the last. When you save more, you can explore more with your travel agent or...
Yeah, there were a lot of asks in last week's provincial budget that went unfulfilled. We talked about some of that with Vaughn Palmer earlier. Different groups, different organizations that were hoping for a boost and didn't get it, like Dyslexia BC. There was $30 million pledged for screening and literacy supports, but critics say that is not nearly enough. Now, Cathy McMillan is the founding member of Dyslexia BC and joins us now to talk about that. Cathy, thank you for being here.
Simi, thanks for having me.
Now, Cathy, can you give us an idea of how many people need support who have dyslexia in this province?
Probably all of them. But there's 20% of the population anywhere. Like it's like universal. It doesn't matter what language you speak. Dyslexia is 20% of the population, with 5% of that having severe or profound dyslexia, which could be considered disability.
Now, this is something we're still getting awareness of too, isn't it?
It is. School districts still do not use the term dyslexia. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't even say dyslexia. Even psychologists tell parents that they don't use the term dyslexia anymore. It's a bit of it's a bit of an elephant in the room, we can say, because nobody really wants to talk about what really needs to be done, which is systemic change.
Okay, what do you think needs to be done?
Well, we need to make some legislation ensuring that all kids get screened starting in kindergarten. This $30 million is going for screening. We don't know who's doing it. We don't know the plan around it. We have no idea. And we've asked the ministry several times over the last year. I know that they've been planning something since the education mandate in December. With dyslexia, and in the United States, I should back up. In the United States, they've been making legislation over the last 10 years, and the legislation includes things like universal screening, this change to using scientifically informed, evidence-based instruction, teacher training, and all that kind of stuff. And I've been asking for the ministry to do the same, but they haven't answered any of my calls to action or Dyslexia BC's calls to action. And so to make systemic change, we need policies, legislation, and we need accountability of what's happening for the students.
So, Cathy, I guess my question here is, if we can't even agree on what to call it or how to categorize this, how do we help the students who need it?
Exactly. So there's a huge push right now to change just literacy, and it's kind of fueled by service providers. You know, this, when we know better, we'll do better type mentality. But there is a disability component to it, and when we aren't labeling it and we aren't calling it what it is, like you're shooting in the dark. We go to the doctor, we get told we have ADHD, the GP can give us medication on the spot. Dyslexia, you have to pay $3,000 to $4,000 to get a diagnosis if you're not one of the very lucky ones that gets a diagnosis in the school. And it's not just a diagnosis we need places to go to get interventions. Like, there's nowhere to go unless you pay. Can
you give parents an idea, give people an idea of what is the range here of conditions or symptoms that people might suspect they might be on this somehow? This might impact them.
Things like reluctancy to read. People that don't read books or magazines as adults, they're probably dyslexic. people that have trouble. Basically, dyslexia is a language-based learning disability, and it's genetic. If a relative has it, you have a very strong chance of having it yourself. Just like having blue eyes, it's genetic. So these are the kids that when they're little, they'll say Paschetti instead of spaghetti. They will mix their letters up, although letters can be something that happens with little kids all the time. But if it's consistent, they won't learn easy words like then, and, but very quickly because you can't see those words. They stumble to get the words they want. They'll be like, well, the other day. They can't remember the days of the week, so they'll say the other day for the entire week. Monday? No, the other day, Mom, the other day. So they just have trouble with language. It's either they have trouble processing it, so they have trouble remembering some of our grammar, some of our spelling. English is the hardest language to learn for someone with dyslexia. The way our language is structured.
So then, Cathy, what can be done? Are there simple things that we can do in the classrooms? Are there questions that we can ask that can help us help the kids who need this?
Well, we need to identify them as early as possible. The most impact we're going to have is in kindergarten and grade 1. That is the absolute most impact. So if we're not trying to identify these kids and give them interventions in kindergarten and grade 1, after grade 3, the way the brain is, the plasticity goes down, and after grade 4, it's 4 times harder to remediate a child with dyslexia. So we have to throw everything we've got in those early years, but keep in mind that we've got a systemic issue, and we've got the kids in high school and adults that haven't had any interventions, and we need a systemic solution, not $30 million going to God knows where. I don't know where it's going. The budget said that they're going to screen 150,000 kids, but only help 9,000 kids. That's only 6% of kids. And 20% will have dyslexia. So, we need to be making plans that we can help all the kids, not just a select few.
All right. Well, Cathy, thank you so much for talking to us about it.
Okay, thanks for having me again.
That's Cathy McMillan, a founding member of Dyslexia BC, talking about the organization's disappointment at the lack of support. There was a $30 million over 3-year contribution or commitment made by the provincial government for screening for kids. But as Cathy points out, she believes that is not nearly enough when it comes to the kids who do grapple with dyslexia in school. And I'm sure some of what she described there is familiar to a lot of people out there, right? Just the simple things, the lack of desire to read, you mix up words, the words, it's so hard to concentrate on the reading. I mean, these are really common issues that a lot of kids have, and are we doing enough to reach those kids in school?
Blood evidence always tells a story. People who do this job, they risk it all.
Sunday on Global.
Come back the next day and do it all over again.
Keep following the evidence.
I found him. I found the guy who killed my mother.
We know.
The new season returns.
Killers always leave a trail.
All new CSI Vegas on a new night. Sunday on Global.